Most people have heard in the health food industry anyway of trace elements such as chromium and selenium. Some people have heard of boron, strontium. Those people that aren't in the health food industry would have heard of tin, and well, of course, calcium is a macro mineral, but tin and gold and silver are trace elements. Now, there's over 72 trace elements, and these trace elements exist in vegetables and fruit. But a lot of people don't know that these trace elements are actually critical for health. They're not just something that are important, they're critical. We hear about calcium and magnesium, which are the bigger molecules. We call them macro minerals, and they're very important as well. But these 72 trace elements are like the building blocks of life. They, in essence, make everything else work. And so companies realizing this have developed trace element liquids from trace elements from different sources, because you can actually get some of these trace elements from rocks and so on. But when you make a liquid from these types of sources, the liquid, first of all, it tastes bad and it's hard to absorb. If you cook with a cast iron frying pan and you get a little bit of scraping of the cast iron frying pan, you're actually going to ingest some of that iron. And that's a good thing, but you may only ingest 1 or 3%, like very low, because the body has to chelate it, has to deal with it. However, if you get iron, say from alfalfa root, you're going to assimilate almost all of it. So coming back to this liquid formula, many hundreds of thousands of years, probably over 1 million years ago, there were lake beds, and the ferns at that time used to grow like 25 feet high. And the reason for that is that the soil balance was perfect. And so these high growing ferns and plants would disintegrate into lakes. And maybe after 1,000 years, you might get 1 inch of sort of rotted plant material that had been distilled down to its mineral component. So after many hundreds of thousands of years, this sediment, it's called a trace element sediment, could be anywhere between 1 foot and 10 feet high if there hadn't been big currents of water and interference with rocks, slides, and things. So there's really very few sources in the world of this, and there's some famous ones. Many individuals have heard of the Hunzas in Pakistan, how they live. Their timeline, it's almost like they have another 50 years to play with. So when they're 100, it's almost like they're 50 years old or 60 years old. It's amazing. And so scientists from all over the world have been studying them for over 50, 60 years, and what they've noticed, one scientist who went there looked at the water, and he described nanograms of trace elements in the water. And we call them humectant deposits, where these deposits of these trace elements exist there. And if the water flows through, they got kind of lucky, then that helped them keep young. There's other reasons why they were young. I mean, they ate well and they exercised. That wasn't the only reason. But the thing that was different is that they had access to these trace elements in the water. The same is true for the Georgians in Russia and so on. So some miners in the United States noticed that if they drank certain water, their arthritis would disappear. And I've been fortunate enough to study with a UN scientist, now retired, who has worked with a team of people to harvest or mine this powder of this humic deposit out of the ancient lake beds, which are now covered in dirt. So you've got to mine in, get the powder out, and develop a liquid in a natural way, because most of the companies that have done this would use copper sulfate or something, and that would destroy some of the activity of the liquid. So this liquid taken internally will replace all the missing trace elements and will remineralize the body. And the results that people are noticing are more mental alertness and being less tired in the evening after a long day. And the other benefit besides replacing the trace elements of these in this product is the detoxification aspect. The Creator has placed something in plants and vegetables called fulvic acid, and fulvic acid is arguably the most powerful antioxidant in the planet, because many antioxidants, such as vitamin C and vitamin E, are effective, and of course you may have heard of them, and you may take vitamin C. And vitamin C and vitamin E is good. I take those. However, the way they work, this antioxidant, is if you have a cell, the antioxidant will enter the cell and help remove what we call free radicals, which speed up our aging. So the antioxidants are effective. But generally speaking, the way in the cell, this free radical, the way it's removed is by the antioxidant giving an electron to the free radical in the cell so that it'll be removed out of the cell. And that's fine, but what if the free radical in the cell, you can think of it as a broken piece of glass, something that is causing us aging. Think of the cell as like a circle like this, and if it has a free radical in there and it's bumping against, it'll cause us wrinkling and aging. So we don't want those free radicals in there. We want them to go, but they need an antioxidant to get rid of them. And the fulvic acid will not only give an electron, but it will take an electron. So we believe it to be the most powerful antioxidant on the planet. And the way that the UN scientists work with the team to harvest this product, they've been able to maintain 35 to 40% fulvic acid, which is very high. And this fulvic acid will help to detoxify heavy metals. All the metals are very interesting because they're life givers. They'll strengthen us. They also weaken us. Mercury amalgams in the teeth, and heavy metals from flu shots, and many sources of heavy metals today have resulted in loss of health. So this product that we take every day, I take every day, this trace element product, works again because it remineralizes the whole body, and it also detoxifies us.
My name's Heidi Main. I've been using the products for about 1.5 years, and I have had problems with my energy, and taking the greens and the minerals has definitely given me more energy. And in the last 2 months, on the recommendation of another person, Jerry Bodmer actually, recommended that I take them at night. And just before I go to bed, it's made a huge difference in sleeping through the night. Instead of waking up every couple of hours, I've actually been sleeping 4 to 6 hours and getting a more restful sleep. So I recommend trying that.